Maybe. Oh, yes. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today for our Overdrive Basics reporting and shopping. This is basically the getting started version. So if you have just started doing Overdrive Advantage ordering for your library, this is the place for you. If you do not yet have a marketplace account, you should contact whoever your admin at your library is to get that set up for you, because this will make a lot more sense if you can get into marketplace. We're going to mostly be in marketplace today. I do have the slides that I will send you that have some of the basic information in them about how to save searches and where to go for things. But I find it makes more sense lots of times if we're actually in marketplace. So that is where we are going to start. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat or feel free to just ask them. All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. So this is your main screen when you enter Overdrive Marketplace. I can get rid of my record state that's on my screen. And so this is where you will see your main search bar here in the middle. We also have advanced search, carts, your current cart. We'll get into all that in a minute. Your various shopping models. And then this is where they highlight different items. They like to do a lot of different sales and highlight different collections. So there'll be a Hispanic Heritage Month. You see that we have Halloween. They do all sorts of different highlights here, back to the school sale. So you'll see this when you are on your main entry screen. So when you're shopping, there's a bunch of different options that you have available to you for different types of materials from Overdrive. We are going to focus mostly on the one copy, one user, and metered access today. But they also do have cost per circ, simultaneous use, and then Libby's extras, which are things like Canopy, great courses, that sort of stuff. Simultaneous use is your packages that you can purchase that have all of the materials are available all at once. So 400 people can check out the same time. Those are individual packages that you can purchase for just for your library. Cost per circ is what it sounds like. Every time somebody checks something out, you get charged for it. We talk more about those in our lending model training, but those are all things that are available to you in your shopping as an Advantage user. Just a heads up that the cost per circ and simultaneous use packages are just for your Overdrive Advantage users. One copy, one user, metered access are available to everybody. That does include, and hopefully we'll see if we can find one. There is a new format that's a metered access 100 checkouts. Those 100 checkouts are shared. So if you buy 100 checkouts, you're buying those 100 checkouts for the whole consortium and not just for your library. That is a thing that has been happening. So every time I do a training, I try to make sure that everybody is aware of that. When you buy 100 checkouts, they are for everyone and not just your library. Okay, so under shop is where you will see all of your fun different shopping types, and we're going to stay in one copy, one user and metered access. The first thing that we need to do when we're shopping is create a shopping cart. Over in the upper right-hand corner, you will see carts, and then you'll see a list here. Right now you see October 2024 new. This is the Glen Ridge account that we're in. So you can see that this is my cart. So if we click on carts, we can see all of the different options that you have. These are our pinned carts, or the carts that we currently have open. I have an October new cart and a future purchases cart. Also under other carts, this is where you will see if you have a recurring cart. So we have expired metered access, things that have been weeded. If you're looking for your notify me cards, anything that you have an automated cart that it creates is going to show up here under other carts. I don't currently have one, so you can't see it, but that's where that would go. Your yellow cart is your default cart, and it's the one that shows up as your main cart when you are adding. If you see you have the 4 arrows, you can move these around based on which cart you want your main cart to be. Easy peasy. You also, when you're ready to create a cart, you can create a cart, give it a name and description if you want. And you'll see here pin as main cart, that puts it in this pinned carts. If you are sharing this with other people, if other people in your library have access to your carts and can add materials, and you don't want them to make any changes to your cart, maybe you're done and you just haven't processed it yet, or somebody else needs to review the cart before it can be purchased, you can click the lock to prevent changes by others box. But if you are the only one accessing your carts, I generally don't use this, but you can lock it to keep other users from making changes. Then you simply hit create and it shows up. It will automatically be the main or default cart and you can move it around as needed. You can also create a worksheet that will show you all of the carts. I think this is the first time I have actually ever clicked on that button, so I'm not sure how useful it is. But if for some reason you had a lot of carts and you wanted to create a list, that's how you could do that and create a worksheet. Also, if you have multiple carts, so say I've got my October cart and my testing cart, and I want to put them together. So say I have a nonfiction, a fiction, a juvenile, and I want to put them all together to create my one September or October order. You can click on all of the carts you want, hit copy and merge carts. You can create a new cart, or in this instance, we would hit merge selected carts into a new cart. Hit next, give it a new name, give it a description. Again, keep it to pin or option to lock, and then you can hit merge and you will have one cart instead of 2 or however many you're merging. Does anybody have any questions on carts before we move on to shopping? All right. The best part is shopping. This is where you add the materials to your order. So you would search just like you would search any other collection development source. So this is how you would search Baker and Taylor, Ingram, or Amazon, or however you're searching. You would just simply type in your title, your subject term, your author, whatever it is that you're looking for. In this instance, I'm using Fourth Wing. I think it has one of our, yes, because this is one of the ones that has the concurrent users 100 checkouts, the audiobook. Again, this is what this looks like, and this is a shared format. So when you buy it, everybody gets your 100 checkouts. And in some instances, that's great. And some instances, people are doing it by mistake. So we simply see, so in this instance, we see we have the ebook and the audiobook. MA 24 months, 1 user means metered access. You get 1 user at a time, and you get to own that title for 24 months. You can see how many titles are in the consortium. You can see how many copies your individual library owns will show up under Advantage. So you can see that the Glen Ridge Library owns 2 copies of the ebook. You can see how many holds your patrons have. So again, the consortium and then my current users. So I currently don't have any active holds. One of my users has a suspended hold, and both of my copies are currently checked out. And I have had 41 circs on the Fourth Wing copies that I own as a consortium in the past 12-month period. The consortium has had almost 3,000 checkouts on that title in the last 12-month period. And you can also see the audiobook. One thing to be really cognizant of when you're looking at these is the information here where it says English, the street date, the publisher, the ISBN. Every once in a while, A very popular book is not available in Overdrive because it is based on publisher availability, but it will be available in a different language. So sometimes we've seen German or Spanish will come up here, and libraries will accidentally buy the wrong title. If that happens to you, reach out to Overdrive. Technically, your purchases are non-returnable, but lots of times they can work with you if you buy something really by mistake. If you see a title in a different language that seems like it shouldn't be there, let the consortium know if they're the ones that purchased it. If it is another library that purchased it, they may have meant to, because we do have libraries that collect multiple languages. When you have found the title that you have wanted, you simply can click add to main cart. You can see our carts here over on the right. We have testing. If I click add to main cart, now you'll see I have 1 unit 60. It tells me that 4 thing was added to testing. If I don't want to add to the main cart for some reason, say this is an item that's coming out in the future, you'll see I have a future purchases cart. So I can click on the little drop down and it will show me all of my options, and I can pick whichever cart I want to go to. But that main cart is going to be the one at the top, the one that's yellow. Another option, so this main search bar that we did is just the basic search. You can click on advanced search. And this is where you can get real detailed. You can do titles, series, you can search by ISBN, you can also search by publisher, sale dates, street dates. If you were looking for things that cost a certain amount of money, how many holds things had, interest levels, reading levels, all of the things and all of the lands, you can set your parameters here. We're just going to do a basic to get some results up. But when you have entered something, you can also see now we have search is live, but you also have a save. So save is something I generally only use for cost per circ, and we'll talk more about that during the cost per circ training. But if you are running the same search over and over again, if you want to save a search of what came out last week, or what's the new juvenile fiction, or whatever it is, if you're going to be running a search over and over and over, that's the same. I suggest saving it, because that way you don't have to remember your parameters every single time you run it, and it will show up on the main screen, which I'll show you in a second. So when you've got your parameters, your search is as you want it, you hit save, you give your search a name, you give it a description. If you have a very detailed list of parameters, I highly recommend using a description so that you know what you did in that, or if you're doing a lot of saved searches, that way you have some information for you about what those search parameters are. And then this pin search to menu is the key factor in saving a search. That will save it to the main one copy, one user page. Once you have put all your information in, you hit save. It will save your search, and then you can hit search. And then to show you where that is, if we hit the main shop page, you'll see, I did this earlier, down here at the bottom under saved searches, you see testing saved search. And so now we can just click on that and it will run that search automatically, and you don't have to redo your parameters over and over and over again. Does anybody have any questions about how to find the titles that they want to buy? Again, this is very similar to pretty much any other collection development or shopping platform that you've used. You find the thing you want, you put it in your cart, and then you place your order. So you can do that by clicking on your cart, or by going to the main carts option and then clicking on your cart name. You'll see your cart name here, your cart ID, when you edited it, how many titles you have, how many copies you have. One of the fun tricks is, say you accidentally added multiple copies of something, and your library only purchases one copy at a time of something. You can hit set all titles to one and hit update. Or say you're buying for summer reading or a book club or something, and you want to add 3 copies of everything to your collection. You could change this to 3 and hit update, and now you'll see that our total units, when it gets updated, say total units are 3, but total titles are 1. And you'll also see that our cost has updated over here on the right. If you scroll down, you can see the titles that are in your cart that you're going to order. Currently, we just have the one Fourth Wing. Now we hit purchase cart. If you hit create quote, it will create a PDF or an Excel file for you if you want to have a list of the items that are in your cart. Similar to the other one, create quote, I don't believe I have ever used, but again, that can be useful for you if you have somebody that needs to review and wants to just look at a list as opposed to being in Marketplace. If we click purchase cart, you will sometimes see a lot of checkbox, or this is, I think, the smallest number of checkbox you can see. If you have a lot of different titles, you may see 5, 6, 8 different checkbox here. These are all their like warnings and disclaimers. So you'll see all the different, if you have different metered access modules, so you might see 24 months or 12 months or 52 checkouts, 26 checkouts, or you'll see a checkbox for all of those things. So we're going to say that they're metered. We're going to say that this is an advantage order. So that's only going to be available to your library, but unless your library participates in Advantage Plus. We do. Buckles, all of the Advantage libraries participate in Advantage Plus. So anything you buy for your library, with the exception of cost per circ and simultaneous use, will be shared. So if you buy a one copy, one user or a metered access title, if your patrons aren't using it, it will get shared out. So basically how it works, if there are holds on a title, your patron goes to the top of the holds list on your copies, but they also stay in the main holds queue. So they're sort of in 2 queues at the same time. And then when no more of your patrons have the title on hold, then that title becomes available to other libraries' patrons. If your patron then puts that title on hold, they get put up to number 1 in the list, and the next time your copy becomes available, they get access to. It's very much like high demand. This order is final. Your order will be processed immediately and will be available within 24 hours. I find that it's usually 3 or 4 hours, not 24 hours, but their time that they say it will be available is 24 hours. By clicking complete purchase, you accept delivery of this order and understand that you're going to have to pay. You can pay with your bank account, with a credit card, if you have those options set up. The default option for us, and I think most libraries, is bill my account. When you're ready, you hit complete purchase. I'm not going to do that because I already have copies of Fourth Wing and I don't need more. But that is how you order a cart. Any questions on ordering?
Don't see anything in the chat box.
Awesome. Everybody is just experts already.
That's you're such a good teacher imparting that knowledge.
Yes.
And we know our folks are quick studies, so it's a good combination.
So once we've ordered our titles, unfortunately, Overdrive has the audacity to want us to pay for them. So we're going to go to billing, and these are your main tabs here. So we're going to go to billing, view invoices. So they will send emails out to your account holders, anybody who has billing or invoice permissions on your account, when a new invoice is ready. So you will get an email telling you you have an invoice. You can set up individual users. So somebody who doesn't have the ability to order, but does get the invoices. So I have our business manager set up just to get the invoices. You can do that through the admin section under marketplace users. If you don't have access to that feature, check with your primary admin at your library. If you are the primary admin at your library and you still don't have access to that, reach out to Overdrive. That information, I'll tell you how to do that at the end. But if you go to view your invoices, it automatically defaults to your 30 days. You can tell that we owe Overdrive some money because we just had our board meeting. You can search invoices and see which ones are paid or which ones are open, paid, unpaid. You can look at the various options that they have. If you know your order ID or your internal purchase order ID, you can do that. You can look at specific types of invoices. So if you're just looking for a cost per circ invoice, you can do that here. And then your billing account, it defaults to your library, but this is where you would see your individual library's billing account. So any changes you want to make, you hit update, and then it will show you the invoices. If you have multiples, you can just click on a specific one and save it to PDF, or you can hit the button at the top, and then you can save all four. For us, that would save all four of those invoices to one PDF file. So for us, at the end of the month, I go in, I pull our invoices, I create one PDF file, and then I send it to my business manager for her to pay. Right. So we've bought things, we have paid for things. Now we're going to look at some of our reporting. So we're going to go to our insights, which is what Overdrive calls their reporting. And they have a little dashboard. This dashboard information, for the most part, it defaults to the consortium, but you can see that you can filter your holdings by Advantage Collection. So you can see just what your holdings are for your Advantage Collection. So we own 400 titles, 138 of them are audiobooks. You can see your current checkouts. This is the consortium and not my library because there's no way I have 50,000 current checkouts at my library with my 7,800 people. You can also look at your patron interests. So this is your notify me tags. These are the things that your patrons have said that they want to be notified about if your library adds them. Circulation activity, more notify me. These are just fun to look at to see what your patrons are interested in. And you can also look at your trends. So you can see your checkouts year over year. Again, these are consortium related. Over here on the left, you'll see your popular reports. So this is where you can see your checkouts, current holds, purchase orders, and your title status and usage. Your purchase orders will show you what you have purchased, shockingly. You can look at your last whatever time period. Again, if you know your order IDs or your type and your billing account. So I'm going to look at everything I've ordered in the last 30 days. This will give you a list and that you can actually create a new cart for this if you want to. So if you, for some reason, wanted to buy things again, you could go back to this and hit convert to new cart. You can also click on any of the titles and get the information about that particular title that you purchased. So you can see that we own 4 copies of this. I currently have 7 holds. 2 of them have been 2 suspended holds, and 17 copies of this have gone out in the past year, which really have gone out since July, which is when this title came out. The main report I use current holds and checkouts. So this is where it will tell you what your patrons have on hold. So you can filter this by branch, or you can see the whole system as a whole if you want. I like to see just my patrons. You can also, if you only want to see the titles that you've purchased, what their hold status is, you can click the Advantage Titles Only checkbox. I tend to just look at everything my patrons have on hold, so I tend to not check that box, but you can if you want to. You can also create a worksheet or a spreadsheet from here. So I'm going to click Update, and we're going to see everything that my patrons have on hold. Most of the columns are sortable, so you can click on the heading to sort by that particular title. Something in red is a pre-release, so this is actually not available yet. Its street date is 9/24. I usually go to Advantage Holds and tell it to sort descending so I can see what my most popular titles are. And you can see that all the colors of the dark is the top for my patrons. I currently have 15 holds on it. So when you look over to the right, you can see that the consortia ratio is 6.12. So there's 6.12 holds for every one copy that the consortium owns. The advantage ratio gets really weird, and I honestly don't understand how it gets determined. I don't use it to make my decision-making process. I look at how many holds we have, and I look at what the consortia ratio is, so how long they would have to wait for it. You can see the consortia owns 5 copies, we own 2 copies. So when I'm doing my holds, I go through this list and I see how many holds, and then I look at, do I own it? So for this particular one, all fours has a ratio of 4.95. The consortia owns 3. I don't own any. We have 6 copies. How you determine when you buy an additional copy is really up to your library. It is a little bit of an art and depends on how much money you have to spend and what your usage looks like. But this is how you can find out what your patrons have on hold. Anybody have any questions about the holds report? Most of our Advantage libraries they're purchasing goes to fulfill holds. So this is the one that I think most people are going to use. The other one, and we can go to jump to a different report, is checkouts. So if you are somebody that has to do monthly statistics for your library, I use this for myself to see what my patrons are borrowing. So you can see I have checkouts by format, because I like to see them by format, but you can do it by whatever option you want. So by creator, by day, by month, by publisher, by title, by year, whatever option. I use format. You can limit to your branch. Again, you have all sorts of different parameters. Under Advantage checkouts, you can see show all checkouts bought by consortium and or Advantage. So I want to see all of the checkouts. If you just want to see the checkouts on your owned titles, you would do the middle option. And then if you just want to see your users on your titles, that's the bottom option. So everything is the top, all users from all libraries on the titles you own is the middle, and only your users on your titles is the bottom. So if we hit update, this is going to show us all of the checkouts that my patrons had in August by format. So Overdrive Listen and Overdrive Read are their sort of streaming options. So Listen is courses, audiobooks, Read are ebooks. Kindle Book is the Kindle Book. So those are the titles that your patrons have transferred to Kindle from the Overdrive platform. Overdrive magazines are the magazines. These have exponentially taken off this year. So you can click on any of these. If you click on the checkouts, it will show you the individual checkouts. So you can see in my 482 checkouts, you can see all of them. And then check. MP3 audiobook, again, audiobooks, EPUB, ebook, pending. These are the things that are on hold. Media Do Reader is one of their new formats. And again, we have pendings for audiobooks. Does anybody have any questions on the checkouts?
I don't see any questions in the chat box.
And again, if you go to jump to a different report, you can see what the various options are. I'm going to look at some of our users just to see some of our user reports. So we're going to do this year. So we're going to do January 2024 to today. We're going it to the end of the year, even though we're not all the way there yet. And you can see that we've had 878 users so far this year. And then if you click on it, it will show you those users. And those are the insights. So that's where you will get to all of your reporting. These are just the basic reports that I would think most people would do. We do have a advanced reporting section that's happening with Nick from Overdrive later in the year. Darlene will send that information out a little bit later. And he's going to go over a lot more detailed reporting. So if you're somebody that does the report for the state report, or you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of your statistics with Overdrive, that is where you would look. You would want to go and take that session from Nick. Okay, this is a broad question, but how would you determine what titles to purchase for your Vantage collection? I'm assuming you'd use your insights to point you in the right direction. So yes, so again, it really comes down to what your goal is for your collection. For Glen Ridge, I mostly purchase based on holds, so what the most number of holds are. I also do use the patron interests and the notify me tags to see what my patrons are recommending. We also purchase for summer reading. So when our summer reading lists come out, we make sure we purchase those titles. For your individual library, if you were collecting in a particular language, or if you were trying to support a particular collection or curriculum, you could order by that. But for us here, it's pretty much holds driven. And hopefully that answers your question. Yay. If you go to the support tab, over on the right-hand side, you will see the lovely Nick, who is our account manager, who does a lot of trainings for us and will help you with any questions you have. Individual Advantage libraries are able to reach out to Overdrive directly. So if you have a question about your account, you can reach out to Nick. Alicia Adams is our digital content librarian. She is the one that's going to help you with any curated lists or other items. If you have any questions about content specific things, you can reach out to Alicia. Bart is our sort of technical product support specialist. He handles APIs and sort of a lot of backend stuff. For the most part, individual Advantage libraries are not going to need to talk to Bart unless something very specific is happening. I generally recommend you reach out to Nick, and he can recommend who you need to talk to. 99% of the questions you have are going to be Nick related questions. Also underneath support is you have a very good help feature. I actually like Overdrive's help, which is not something I say very often about online help resources. But you have the marketplace help. So if you have questions about how to use marketplace, this is where you would find them. Shopping, admin and billing, curating, reports, and troubleshooting. So anything we talked about today, I'm sure they probably have more detailed information available here for you as well. And then also the Overdrive Resource Center is a really great place to make sure you have bookmarked. This is where you can find your marketing materials, additional training modules, all sorts of different stuff is available here for you under the resources for public libraries. It is a really great place to go. So you can learn all about Libby, learn about Canopy, all of the other resources. I also recommend that you check out their marketing because they definitely make it easier without you having to recreate the wheel and do all of the marketing materials on your own. And that is the content that we had for today. Does anybody have any questions? I know that was quick. Like I said, we said at the beginning, I'm going to share my slides that go over the overview with you, as well as some materials from Overdrive and the recording. Does anybody have any other questions for us? Hopefully you feel a little bit more confident in your use of Marketplace.
Thank you, Tina Marie. That was great. While everyone is thinking, do you have any, I'll say, like your tips or tricks or anything, any words of wisdom that additional words that you would like to impart?
I'm not sure about words of wisdom. I will say everything is more expensive than you want it to be. So it is important to know what your goals are. And those might be your goals. Those goals might be given to you from somebody else. And as you go. But it's really important to know what you're trying to accomplish with the budget you have. So are you trying to keep your holds down? Are you trying to have a specific language collection or a collection in a specific topic? Are you trying to support your school? What are your goals and how much money do you have to spend? Because it is generally very hard to keep up with demand for Overdrive. And if you can focus your resources in a particular place, that makes it a little bit easier and slightly less daunting and frustrating. But the general thing I will say is there is never enough money. So don't feel alone when you're going to buy things and you're like, oh, why does it cost, this much per checkout? That is a thing that is universally frustrating for everybody. I will also plug our quarterly Overdrive Advantage user group meetings. We meet quarterly with anybody who works with Overdrive Advantage. So if you're purchasing, selecting, that sort of thing. And we have a very informal meeting where people ask questions, complain about how expensive things are, talk about the new items that are coming out from Overdrive, that sort of thing. So definitely join us there if you are interested in having a little bit more of a community in your Overdrive land. We also will be talking about cost per circ and simultaneous use in another session. Those can be really helpful, particularly cost per circ in managing your holds. But again, it's something you really need to keep an eye out on your prices. When you're adding things to your cart, really pay attention to how much they cost. And I know I'm beating a horse, but pay attention to your 100 checkouts. Because it may make sense for you if you have a lot of holds and you're like, oh, great, I'll just share the rest. But that is a shared feature, and that seems to be a thing that really has been confusing for a lot of people. But I don't know if that was at all helpful.
Excellent. So we'll just give it a minute or two if anybody wants to think and type. And just to piggyback on what Tina Marie said about the upcoming training, I'll put this in the email that I send to you, the follow-up email, which will again have the recording slides. We'll give you the dates of the upcoming training. There'll be an evaluation form, and then the attendance certificates will follow separately. So Tina will be offering this class again in November. She also mentioned the Overdrive lending models overview training. We'll have one in October and one in December. And as she also said, Nick from Overdrive will be conducting the advanced reporting training. We have that in November and December. So I will share those dates and you can register via Eventbrite as well.
And then one last thing, just on the marketing side, is that you can actually request a kit of hard copy materials from Overdrive. They'll send you little business size cards about Libby and Canopy if you have it. And you can again do that through the marketing and outreach section. And there's a public library request button. We got them to send us little cards. It is a thing of the past where database vendors used to send you all of the hard stuff. Now they make you print it yourself. So you can actually request some materials to be sent to you. So I would like everybody to take advantage of that. So I try to make sure everybody knows about it.
Yeah, that's a great reminder. And just also, again, to add on, you had mentioned the quarterly Overdrive user group meeting. We have one coming up the end of October. An email will be going out to all, and we'll have the link for you.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for coming today. Please feel free to reach out to me directly. My information will be in the slides that I send you, that Darlene sends out. If you have any questions about Overdrive, don't hesitate to ask me or to ask Nick, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks, Tina Marie. Have a good afternoon all.